And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, look at that. We're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to my pilot script reading. So if you're not familiar with the Vaudacity Network and you're actually tuning in to watch this, then this is so out of the blue for you. But if you are familiar with the Vaudacity Network, I especially want to thank you for being here and supporting this whole anniversary birthday week and all the projects. This one is a little bit different than all the other shows that have been happening. I have written a script, pilot script for a potential series, maybe, which I finished at 4:30 the other morning. So we are basically just getting it on its feet and hearing it out loud and getting all of you involved to hear and listen and get some feedback. Speaking of feedback, the working title for this script is called Do Over. However, that's the working title. So if at some point you feel like you have an idea for a title, please put that in the chat. We'd love to hear it. So before we get started reading, I would like to bring on the cast just so you can see everybody who's going to be involved. We have Craig Jackman, Darren Ingram, Amanda Benjamin, Paul and Jamie Carganilla, Denny Siegel, Caitlin McCormick, Stephanie Wall, Todd Stubler. Is that I think that's everybody. And of course, our PP Stream director, Sam, running the show. So big thank you to Sam. Big thank you to everyone here for doing this. If you've ever written anything and get it on its feet and see how these things go, this is actually really nerve-wracking for the writer to hear something for the first time, especially when you finished it in a fever dream.
But it's huge, so give it up for Dylan.
What? Oh, thanks, Paul. I won't tell you the premise or anything of the script going into it. It'll just be like you tune in and just going to watch it for the first time. What I will tell you is I had the idea for this about 5 or 6 years ago, never got past the first 5 or 10 pages, would always pick it up, put it down, meant to even write it over the pandemic and never did. And then when Paul asked if I wanted to do something this week, I said, I'm going to do this because it'll force me to finish it. So I did. There we go. That's pretty much it. I wrote this as a development idea for a project for myself. So that's why you're going to see me reading this. Is that, hey, who knows? Maybe one day I might get to be on Netflix with Everly Carganilla. But that being said, I'll probably never be as big of a star as she is. That being said, hey, what do you say we read a script? Let's do over.
Fade in. Exterior. Intersection. Night. Sheets of rain pour down as the traffic light changes from yellow to red. A lone, sensible sedan slightly hydroplanes to a stop. Not quite in the intersection, but not behind the line. Interior. Andy's car. Continuous. The sound of the rain pounding on the car is almost deafening. Behind the wheel, boyish but balding, middle-aged Andy Dover, his dad bod dressed in some strange ancient Egyptian-looking shirt with a name tag under his soaking wet rain jacket. He looks anxious as he cranes his neck, looking both ways. Should he run the light? Exterior, intersection, continuous. A car careens through the intersection, too close to Andy's front end for comfort. After a moment, Andy's car backs up to the line. Interior, Andy's car, continuous. Andy stops, shifts to drive again, and stares at the signal, its red glow faintly illuminating his face from above. A faint bluish light hits him from below. He looks down at his dash mount to see his phone lit up with the image of a woman in her 40s. The name on the screen reads, Rianne. He taps the phone to answer it, but accidentally knocks it off the mount and onto the floor of the passenger side, out of his reach instead. He says to himself as if actually answering her.
I'm on my way.
He restlessly taps the steering wheel and again considers running the light.
They say when you die, you see a white light.
The light on Andy's face changes to a faint green. As Andy accelerates into the intersection, the green light fades off his face and a white light gets brighter, but not from his phone, from the passenger side. Andy turns his head and sees it. Eyes wide, too late.
They also say when you die, you see a white light, but I don't think this is what they meant.
Headlights
say
heading,
Sorry.
headlights heading towards his passenger side get closer and brighter quickly. Before the moment of impact, Andy closes his eyes, bracing for the inevitable. But instead of a sickening crash, everything goes dark and quiet.
They also say when you die, your whole life flashes before your eyes. That part is sort of true.
About 1 million images flash by in an instant, then darkness again.
Because, yeah, it all happens in a split second, but it doesn't feel like it. It's more like watching a highlight reel.
The flashing images slow, and we see what Andy describes.
Of course, you see the usual stuff: Christmases, birthdays, first days of school, first kisses, even your first moment.
Close on a woman's face, her loving eyes smiling down at us. She is obviously breastfeeding us. Quick zoom in on her pupil. From the dark of her eye, we see rapid flashes of moments with her. In each, she gets a little older. She's helping us walk, patching up a scraped knee, welcoming us home with open arms, laughing at the dinner table, crying on the couch as we console her, playing with us in the playground, picking us up from school, reading us a bedtime story. She's also teaching us to drive as she braces for impact with the garage door, as we do. Exterior, intersection, night, slow-mo. The oncoming car T-bones Andy's vehicle, practically bending it in half and sending it sliding sideways. Blackness.
But it's funny how some moments you thought were little were actually big.
Another set of flashes that stop on a young Andy at a roller rink, nervously letting go of the side and shakily skating on his own. Another quick series of flashes. Then Andy, a little older, at a public pool, petrified at the top of the high dive, regretting his decision. A line of kids keeps him from climbing back down, so he jumps. He emerges from the water looking thrilled and runs to the high dive again. Flashes. Then an early 80s neighborhood street as a group of kids straddle their bikes and watch 8-year-old Andy in a Star Wars t-shirt wave to them as he rides his bike towards questionably stable makeshift jump. Andy's bike hits the jump and the ramp collapses. As Andy crashes, we match cut to interior Andy's car, night, slow-mo, glass shattering, metal bending, Andy's head slamming into the steering wheel, blackness.
And of course, you remember your big moments.
Flashing images stop on a dingy nightclub as college-age Andy and a couple of friends in early 90s grunge band play the last triumphant note on a tiny stage. They look thrilled. The 3 or 4 people in the crowd barely notice.
Our band's first paying gig.
Moments later, the band divvies up a few dollars from the club owner. A few months later, Andy and a bandmate driving in a car that's less than roadworthy.
The first time we heard ourselves on the radio.
Andy and his bandmate freak out and turn up the radio, banging on the dashboard and wailing at the tops of their lungs. Andy loses control of the car a little and overcorrects, cranking the wheel. Exterior, intersection, night, present day. Andy's car flips wildly, but silently, side over side. After a couple of flips, it's suddenly slow-mo. Interior, Andy's car, night, present day. Slow-mo chaos as Andy, strapped in, rolls with his car. Loose items fly all around him as glass shatters. Blackness.
It's funny how something tragic can lead to something magic.
Interior, hospital, day. College-age Andy sits next to his bandmate whose leg is in a cast and stirrup. An older doctor comes in, accompanied by a couple of medical students, one of whom is a cute auburn-haired girl who locks eyes with Andy. They share a moment, even though she's trying to focus on his friend and the doctor. Quick flashes of scenes. Andy is asking the cute medical student out. They date. They kiss. She cheers from the wings as at one of his band's gigs. He rubs her feet after a long day at the hospital. He proposes. She accepts. He spins her as they embrace. Match cut to exterior, intersection, night, present day. Andy's inverted vehicle spins and slides to a stop. Another car stops. The driver and passenger jump out and run towards Andy's car, shielding themselves from the rain. Match cut to external botanical garden, day, flashback. Andy and his new bride rush down the aisle after saying "I do," shielding themselves from the rain of ice tossed at them. They open the door to a waiting limousine. Match cut to exterior, intersection, night, present day. The door of Andy's inverted car rips open, and the Good Samaritans peer inside. One is on the phone with 911. Andy, barely conscious, looks over and blacks out. Blackness.
It's funny how life really does go by in the blink of an eye.
More life flashes. They get a house. He goes on tour. She shows him a positive pregnancy test, and they hug. The band gets bigger gigs and more popularity. Andy and his doctor wife get a bigger house. Andy hurries down a hospital hallway with his wife on a gurney, about to give birth at any moment. Match cut to interior hospital ER, night, present day. Andy on the gurney, wet with rain and blood, and rushed to emergency surgery, bursts through an OR's double doors. Match cut to exterior, small concert venue, night, flashback. Double doors burst open as the band comes out after a performance to be met by a huge cheering crowd. Match cut to exterior, Little League field, day to night, flashback. Parents cheer at the home run hit from Andy's son. Andy and his wife cheer the loudest as their boy runs the bases on a Saturday afternoon. Andy looks a little out of place as a rock musician among soccer moms and golf dads, but no one seems to mind. As their son rounds the bases, he gets progressively older until he's 18 when he reaches home base at night. In the stands, an older Andy and wife still cheer him on. Match cut to interior, concert arena, night, flashback. A roaring crowd of 20,000 as Andy's band plays the last triumphant note of their farewell concert, and their pose looks a lot like the one at the bar on their first gig. They take their final bow as the stage lights go out. Blackness.
It's amazing what life gives you when you're not looking.
More rapid life flashes, ending on a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Andy's honor at some charitable foundation. As he and his wife cut the ribbon with ridiculously big scissors, we match cut to interior operating room, night, present day. Scissors cutting the last stitch as the doctors finish closing Andy up. The whole surgical team looks exhausted. As we linger on Andy laying on the operating table, we match cut to exterior, large backyard, magic hour, flashback. Andy and his wife recline in lounge chairs, watching their grandchildren play in the huge pool. Their now adult son and his wife wave to them from the hot tub. Andy and his wife wave and smile back. Andy closes his eyes. Blackness.
And what life takes away.
More quick life flashes ending on exterior, cemetery, afternoon, flashback. A series of shots of different funerals dissolve into one another. First, Andy and his wife have their arms around each other as they say goodbye to one of Andy's bandmates. Among the attendees are Andy's other bandmates and their families who console each other. Dissolve to everyone in the same position, but at a different cemetery and in different black outfits with a few less attendees and one less bandmate, then another one less, then another. Dissolve to interior, Andy's large home, night. A much older Andy comes home, dressed in black, looking sad and alone. Then someone else walks through the door. It's his son. The two men hug in mourning. Later, Andy gets into bed and looks at the empty space next to him. He turns to his nightstand, takes a framed picture of his wife from a few years earlier and places it on her pillow. He smiles through tears as he falls asleep. Slow fade to black.
All in all, it was a really great life. The only problem is,
Interior, hospital ER, night, present day.
it wasn't my life.
Andy lays in a hospital bed, head bandaged and attached to beeping monitors. His little recovery area is cordoned off by curtains, and the sounds of the ER can be heard beyond. He's been sharing this story with an older woman sitting at his bedside. This is Sharon Dover, Andy's mother. She stares at him in disbelief. Well, confusion, really.
You let someone else's life flash before your eyes?
No, it was my life, just not the life I've been living.
You mean like a past life or something?
No, this was now.
I don't understand.
What I saw was the life I've been living. I think what I saw wasn't the life I've been living. I think I saw the life I was supposed to be living.
Andy, sweetie, I don't think you were supposed to be a rock star.
Well, I sure as hell wasn't supposed to be this.
I didn't give you a good life?
Mom, please don't make this about you.
Well, how is this supposed to make me feel?
You didn't give me this life. You just gave me life. I just lived it wrong.
What's wrong with your life?
Off Andy's look, we dissolve to Interior, Pharaoh's Restaurant, night. Title, 6 hours earlier. Close on Andy's face, looking hopeless and pathetic.
Welcome to Pharaoh's. My name is Andy. What can I do for you?
Are you the manager?
Yes.
Pull back to reveal Andy standing at a table in a busy, commercially Egyptian-themed casual dining restaurant. Pseudo-hieroglyphs depict menu items and such. Pictographs of dog-headed Egyptian gods holding trays of food adorn the walls with serpents, sarcophagi, and a sphinx. Are you getting how gaudy this is? Good. It gets worse. While Andy is dressed in an embarrassingly colorful faux pharaoh outfit, a pretty young server, Chloe, stands behind him, dressed as a slave, as are all the other servers. As Andy listens to the irate customer, Chloe somehow looks both contrite and confrontational. The customer's friend looks increasingly uncomfortable.
Cleopatra over there brought me a salad with no dressing, and when I ask for some, she refuses to get it.
I'm just trying to explain to you that this salad does not come with dressing.
Why wouldn't it come with dressing?
It's our Sahara salad. It's dry.
Huh, fine. Who the hell orders a dry salad?
You did.
Sir, I'd be happy to get you some dressing. We have ranch, Thousand Island, honey mustard.
How are any of those Egyptian?
I don't know. You could try our spicy Nile sauce. I'd be happy to comp your meal. Can I also offer you a chocolate pyramid pie for the table or an Osiris sundae?
The pie. And the check.
Andy leaves the table and Chloe follows him.
Thank you.
Forget it. That guy's an idiot.
I know, right? Who orders dressing for a dry salad?
Who asks for a check for a free meal? Just get him his pie.
I'm gonna pee on his pie.
La 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 la. I don't hear you.
Interior, Pharaoh's, later. Andy helps out on the prep line by the kitchen.
Hector, you're putting too much chicken in the King Tut tacos. It's got to be a level scoop.
The head line cook, Hector, nods his acknowledgement, then says something insulting in Spanish, thinking Andy doesn't understand. Andy lets it slide. Before he can say anything else, Chloe comes up to him again.
Table 26 wants to see you. It's not my fault, I swear.
Moments later, Andy approaches another table, ready to placate another unhappy customer.
Imhotep, welcome to Pharaoh's. I'm Andy. How can I...
Holy shit, it is you!
Andy snaps out of his trance and recognizes the patron. In fact, we do too. He's Andy's bandmate from the car in his life flash. Evan Coolidge, 50. Looks like he actually did go into music, given his anachronistic rock star haircut and wannabe Johnny Depp outfit and eyeliner. He leaps up and throws his arms around Andy.
Evan?
What are you doing here?
Living the dream. What are you doing here?
My sister's having a husbandectomy, so I bought her a house and I'm moving her out.
Wow, you bought. Wow, Emily. Good to see you. I'm so sorry. I wish I could.
Don't be. I'm beating my brother in divorces. Plus, I get a house.
You and Colleen split?
Years ago. Don't you follow my Facebook?
I'm not on social media much.
Is that still Rianne?
It's complicated.
Well, I would say I'm sorry, but honestly, Andy, I never liked her.
Then why were you my best man?
Colleen said I look like James Bond in a tux. So how long you been here?
In actual time or how long it feels? Listen, I'm sorry to hear about the band.
Oh my God, best thing that could have happened.
Really? You were huge.
And miserable. Touring's a bitch. Remember Curtis? Curtis and I never got along. You dodged a bullet.
Andy looks around the restaurant. Did I? Chloe approaches Andy.
What, again?
We need you for a birthday.
I'm sorry. I should let you get back to work. I'll leave my cell. We should get a coffee and catch up.
That'd be great. And hey, your meal's on me.
You don't have to do that.
Well, it's not like buying a house or anything, but it's not like I'm the one paying for it either.
Andy and Evan share a laugh before Andy follows Chloe away from the table. They end up exiting the dining room, headed towards the back.
I thought you said there was a birthday.
There is.
They round the corner to find a group of servers standing around their manager, Ken Kahanahawan, about 10 years Andy's junior, holding a plate with a pyramid made of brownies and ice cream and 2 number candles on top, a 4 and a 9. Upon seeing Andy, they burst into Pharaoh's birthday song, clapping loudly as they do.
Pharaoh, happy birthday. We hope it makes you smile. If you don't think you're older, then you are in denial.
Ah! Happy birthday, you old geether.
They applaud and Andy humbly blows out the candles. More cheers. Chloe gives him a hug. It's awkward, almost not safe for work.
What'd you wish for?
It didn't come true.
Okay. Get back to work. Guests aren't going to serve themselves.
Before returning to work, they devour the dessert before Andy gets a chance to have any. Interior, Pharaoh's restaurant later that night. Servers do their closing side work in the empty dining room. Interior, Pharaoh's manager office. Andy and Ken sit in the cramped office on squeaky chairs, totaling the evening's receipts. Andy absent-mindedly reaches over to a basket of cold French fries and pops one in his mouth. It's gross. A moment later, he's completely forgotten and eats another one. Irritated with himself, he tosses them in the trash. Ken turns in his chair.
Comped a few meals tonight.
I'm
I'm just messing with you. Come on. But I have to ask, is there something going on with you and Chloe? Because if you're sleeping with your server, I'll have to fire you.
Oh my God, no.
Man, you're gullible, man. I'm just not messing with you. Listen, I know you're not happy as an assistant manager.
Are you kidding? This is my dream. On career day in the 3rd grade, everyone said they wanted to be superheroes or football players, but not me. I said I wanted to be an assistant manager at a culturally questionable Egyptian-themed casual family dining restaurant. People laughed, but look at me. I made it. No one is laughing now.
Well, I hate to do this to you, but you're not going to be the assistant manager anymore.
Color drains from Andy's face. Then,
Wait, are you messing with me again?
I wish I was. But I'm sorry, Andy.
Andy sinks. Then catches Ken smiling.
What?
Seriously, it's so easy. It's almost not even fun.
Interior, Andy's car, night later. Rain dumps outside. The door swings open and Andy scrambles to get in, trying to let in as little rain as possible. It doesn't go well. We expect him to look dejected, but he seems happy. He starts his car, fishes out his phone, and places it on the dash mount. He presses a button on the steering wheel console, and a chime is heard.
Call Rayanne.
Calling Rianne.
As the phone dials, then rings, Andy shifts into gear and hurries out of the parking lot. Turning out of the lot, he comes to an immediate stop at a red light. Rianne's no-nonsense voice comes through his speaker.
This is Rianne. Leave a message.
Hey, sorry to call so late, but something happened at work tonight. I don't want to say what it is yet, but I think you'll want to take me back when you hear. At least I hope you will, or at least be willing to talk about it. Anyway, I'm coming over now.
He disconnects the call. Another tap, another chime.
Call Mom.
Calling Mom.
The light changes to green and Andy accelerates, sending water cascading around him. After a couple of rings, Sharon answers, sounding like the phone woke her.
Andy, you okay?
Hey, Mom, I just want to let you know I'm going to be late tonight.
Intercut, interior Sharon's bedroom, night, continuous. Sharon squints at the time on her phone.
Are you still at work? You sound like you're driving.
I am driving. I'm going to see Rayanne.
That makes Sharon sit up, more alert and concerned.
Please tell me it's to finally sign the divorce papers.
I'm going to get her back.
Did she say she wants you back?
She will. I got promoted to manager.
Sharon gets out of bed. Apparently she sleeps naked. She shuffles across the floor toward her bedroom.
And you're happy about this? You hate that job.
I'm happy because it means I'll be making enough money that Rayanne will want me back.
Do you even hear how twisted that sounds? Andy, getting back together with Rayanne would be like if you drank spoiled milk, threw up, and then drank more spoiled milk to get that puke taste out of your mouth.
Gross. Speaking of gross, are you peeing?
The sound of the rain made me.
Mom, please don't pee when you're on the phone with me.
People pee, Andy. You know how many times you peed on me when you were a baby?
Good night, Mom.
No, wait, Andy. Please don't go to Rayanne's. It's a huge mistake.
Andy comes to another red light.
Damn it.
You know I'm right.
No, I got another red light.
See? Even the universe is telling you to stop.
No, the red light is telling me to stop. You know I don't believe in that universe stuff.
You don't believe in the universe?
I don't believe it's talking to me through traffic lights.
Well, it is. It's telling you not to go to Rayanne's.
The light changes to green and Andy goes.
Well, it just turned green, so there. Besides, if she's really not going to take me back, then the lights don't mean anything.
Maybe they're telling you not to waste your time. Andy, please, just come home.
I am going home.
Good. Wait, I mean here home, not... Andy? Oh, shit.
Andy has disconnected the call and intercut. Looking at the intersection ahead of him, Andy sees the light turn from yellow to red.
You've got to be kidding me.
Exterior intersection night continuous. It's the fateful intersection. Andy's car hydroplanes over the line, then backs up, just like we saw before. Interior, Andy's car continuous. He anxiously taps his hands on the steering wheel, debating. We know what happens next. Crash. Black. Interior, hospital ER, night. We're back with Andy and Sharon. She looks stunned.
Oh, you must have really hit your head hard. Say that again.
You were right.
Whoa, whoa! I need to get a recording of you saying this.
I never should have gone to Rayanne's.
I tried to tell you. Then you wouldn't have been in an accident.
It wasn't an accident.
What are you saying? The other driver hit you on purpose?
Yes. Not because he was trying to, but because I was supposed to get hit. The red lights weren't stopping me from going to Rayanne's. They were making sure I would be at that intersection at that time so I would get hit and the universe could show me the life I'm supposed to live.
The universe?
Like I said, you were right.
Okay, I liked hearing that before, but now you're worrying me.
But there's nothing to worry about. I know what I'm supposed to do. Give Rayanne the divorce.
Okay, first, yay, but I'm confused. In your life flash thingy, you ended up being very happy with her.
I was happy with my wife.
Rayanne is your wife.
But she wasn't supposed to be. I was married to someone else.
Who?
I don't know. I've never seen her before.
Then isn't it possible you just made her up?
I didn't make her up. The universe showed her to me.
Then who is she?
Maybe she's somebody I was supposed to meet but haven't yet. Or maybe she's someone I have met. I didn't recognize her.
So how would you recognize her now?
Because now I've seen her, so I'll know her when I see her.
Mr. Dover?
The curtain shakes open a little, and Dr. Sarah Blake steps in, closing it behind her. She's mid-40s and... holy shit, she's Andy's wife from his life flash.
I'm Dr. Blake, your neurologist. I'm going to take you for a scan of your brain to assess the extent of the trauma.
Andy just stares at her in awe. When he doesn't respond, she thinks it's due to the head injury.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Andy nods slowly. Interior, hospital corridor, moments later. Nurse Page pushes Andy in a wheelchair alongside Sarah, who explains where they're going. He can't stop staring at her. He's either completely smitten or still stunned that she is who she is, or both.
Normally, we'd either do a CAT scan or a PET scan to check for immediate brain damage.
Aren't those the same thing?
No,
But a cat is a pet.
they are actually different.
Well, I'm allergic to cats, so can I have a dog scan?
Oh, you're one of those patients.
One of what patients?
The kind that doesn't need a scan to show they have brain damage.
Paige and Andy follow Sarah into interior radiology room continuous. The radiologist preps an MRI machine. Andy approaches and lays down on the bed of the scanner.
So, which one is this?
Oh, this is actually an MRI. It'll be much more conclusive for any neurological damage. Do you have any questions?
Yes. Will you marry me?
What?
I said, will you MRI me?
Uh-huh.
You're saying yes?
Yes, I will MRI you. Not the other thing.
Okay, but we're supposed to be the other thing.
What makes you think that?
When my life flashed before my eyes tonight, you were in it.
That is probably the most creative pickup line I've ever heard.
It's not a line, it's true.
Well, if it were true, I would have said yes.
You will.
I doubt it.
Why? You already married?
Once upon a time.
So not anymore?
Only to my job.
Well, are you too happy? I mean, does it make you laugh?
Oh, all the time. This place is a regular comedy cavalcade. Just ask Dr. Chakrabarti.
Sarah references the very serious radiologist, who looks up and forces a fake smile. Andy tries to get back on track.
Any kids?
Lots of them in the maternity ward.
Of your own?
It's hardly a kid anymore.
Baseball player?
That makes Sarah stop. She looks directly at Andy.
How did you know that?
I'm telling you.
Sarah eyes him curiously, not sure if she should be interested or scared. So she retakes control of the situation and presses a button, sliding Andy slowly into the scanner. Close on Andy's face. Lights from the scanner flash, intercut with rapid flashes from his other life, highlighting him and Sarah, that scroll by as if swiping through images on a tablet. Match cut to interior hospital office later, close on an actual tablet, automatically scrolling through images. Only these are images of shapes. Reveal. Andy and Sarah in a small catch-all office that several doctors obviously use. They sit across a desk from each other, and Andy finishes a neurocognitive test on the tablet and sets it down in front of Sarah.
17 circles.
She's impressed and notes his answer. He taps his temple.
See? Nothing wrong with the old noodle. Not that I'm old, just I'm not crazy or hallucinating.
Unswayed, she continues and hands the tablet back to him.
Tell me what color you see.
On the tablet, the word red is written in blue. As she swipes through, all of the words are in different colors than the word written. Black is in white, yellow is in green, and purple is red.
Blue, white, green, red.
Again, Sarah is impressed, but tries to hide it.
Okay, now I'd like you to try to say the alphabet backwards as quickly as you can.
Andy pretends to be challenged. Then,
ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLKJIHGFEDCBA.
Sarah blinks, stunned.
You want me to do it middle out?
Middle out?
I start in the middle of the alphabet and then alternate the next and previous letters until I get to the ends.
Sarah still looks uncertain.
MNLOKPJQIRHSGTFUEVDWCXBYAZ.
Wow.
Party trick. The great thing is no one can follow along fast enough to see if I'm right. But I am. And I don't just mean about that.
She knows what he's getting at, but refuses to be sucked in. She stands, retaking control.
Let's try this. Walk a line from that wall to that wall and back.
Is this a cognitive test or a sobriety test?
Depends. How drunk are you?
No more than usual.
Well, then this should be easy.
But what's the point?
To test your mind-body coordination.
Andy shrugs and starts at one wall of the office. After a couple of steps, he twists and turns, climbing over a chair, goes around the desk, and takes a similarly circuitous route back. He looks satisfied, but Sarah looks concerned and confused.
You didn't say it had to be a straight line.
Okay. Please walk a straight line to that wall and back.
Why? It's not like I'm going to pass this test.
Why not?
It's an imaginary line. If my imaginary line doesn't match your imaginary line, I fail. But just because you can't see it, that doesn't make it any less real to me.
She sees Andy's point, but she has no response. Interior, hospital recovery room, later. Sharon is already in there waiting for Andy as Paige escorts him back in, sans wheelchair. He's beaming.
You okay, Andy? Need anything for pain?
Oh, thanks, Paige. I'm good.
Paige smiles and leaves.
Why didn't you get any pain meds?
Because I'm not in any pain.
Did it occur to you that I might be?
Are you?
Not now, but you never know. It's nice to have something handy.
How did you know I'd be in here?
Paige told me and brought me up. How did your scan go?
Unbelievable.
Really? So, no serious injury, brain bleeding?
Mom, I'm not getting pain pills for you.
Fine. But the scan was good? They have results already?
Oh, I won't know for hours, but you remember my wife from my Life Flash thing?
How can I remember someone who doesn't exist?
She does exist. That was her.
Paige?
No, Sarah.
Who the hell is Sarah?
Dr. Blake. She was my wife.
Are you sure you're not already on pain meds?
Mom, I'm telling you.
Okay, but you didn't tell her, did you?
Of course I did. She didn't believe me, but it doesn't matter. It was her.
So what are you going to do?
Divorce Rayanne and do this right.
Easier said than done.
Why? Rayanne already wants the divorce.
That's not the hard part.
Oh my God!
Angelon Rianne Dover stands in the doorway. She's mid-40s and fighting it. Very well put together for 5 in the morning, hair and makeup done, dressed to impress. And you can guess her perfume just looking at her. She has a to-go cup of coffee in one hand and a large manila envelope in another. Seeing Andy, she sets them down, rushes to them, breezing past Sharon as if she isn't even there, and drapes her arms around him, gushing. Andy and Sharon look stunned.
Rayanne, what are you doing here?
When your mom said you were in an accident, I had to be here.
That was over 2 hours ago.
And I hurried to get ready and rushed right over.
Stop for coffee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have gotten one for you too?
Two women rekindle an argument that has never really ended. Andy interrupts them.
Hey. You called her?
I called her. When you didn't show up or answer your phone, I got a little worried.
So I tracked your phone and found you here. Do you know how upsetting that is? Getting a call in the middle of the night from her?
You said you thought I should know where he was.
Because I thought otherwise you'd keep calling me. I didn't expect you to actually show up.
Of course I showed up.
He retrieves the envelope.
The whole time I was getting ready, all I could think about was this.
She pulls out some papers. Andy's eyes light up.
You brought the divorce papers?
Why are you the worst?
Okay, Andy, I know I've said that I wished you were dead, but tonight when I thought you could actually be dead, I realized I don't want you dead. I don't want this divorce.
He tears up the papers. Andy watches, devastated, as his bright new future gets ripped up in front of him. When she's done, she smiles lovingly at him and hugs him again, then kisses him deeply. Sharon looks repulsed.
Can I get you anything?
Something for the pain.
She cups his face in her hand and turns to go, but can't avoid Sharon. As much as she's ready to reconcile with Andy, it hasn't curbed her animosity with her mother-in-law. They exchange forced smiles and Rianne leaves. Sharon holds up some of the torn documents.
Okay, now this is the hard part.
Off Andy's look, we cut to interior hospital cafeteria later. Sharon finishes filling a coffee cup from a giant silver urn when she notices Rianne ahead of her. Sharon makes an abrupt about-face to leave, but it's too late.
Sharon. We need to talk.
Okay, now.
If you want to go home and get some sleep, I will stay with him.
Funny. I remember you promising to stay with him in front of 200 people 17 years ago, so I'm not sure how much that means.
Sharon pushes her tray along, scooping food onto her plate.
Look, Sharon, I understand you hate me for wanting to divorce your son.
Oh, I hated you long before then.
But Wait, what?
Yeah, I never liked you.
Well, you were always so nice to me.
Because you seem to make Andy happy.
Then what? Never mind.
Are you dead? Oh, Riley, shh. No, you can't.
You know that nurse you have, Stephanie Wall, she needs to mute her intercom.
Yeah, yes, she's always so loud. Then never mind. I don't want to know. The point is, I want to make arrangements to have Andy's stuff brought back to the house.
Andy's not going back with you.
And what, are you kidnapping my husband?
Respecting my son.
What are you talking about?
Andy wants the divorce.
No, he doesn't. When he called me tonight before the accident, he said he was coming over to talk to me about taking him back.
Well, that was before, and it was no accident.
Oh, so Andy crashed on purpose. Wait, was he trying to get my sympathy?
Don't make this about you.
I'm just not ready to lose him.
You already lost him.
Sharon, I work in loss prevention. This is kind of what I do.
No, you stop people from stealing. You don't let them get away.
But if they do, I get them back. And I want Andy back.
Andy doesn't want to come back. This crash finally knocked some sense into him.
Or maybe it did something worse.
Sharon looks at her curiously.
What if Andy suffered some serious trauma? What if he starts losing his memory or motor function, or starts seeing things that aren't there? And what if he gets worse and worse and needs someone to take care of him?
And who better than his mother?
They've reached the register. Sharon hands the cashier her card. The machine beeps after every swipe under.
True, but for how long? What if one day he can't remember who he is? And who you are? And don't take this the wrong way, but one day you might need someone to take care of you too.
Sharon goes pale at the thought.
And who's going to do that? You?
I'm sorry, ma'am, this card is declined.
Sharon is at a loss, but Rianne pulls out her card.
Oh, God, just put me in a home now.
Sharon slumps as Rianne readily pays for her breakfast. Interior recovery room later. Sharon and Rianne sit in awkward silence when there is a knock at the door.
Oh, thank God.
Sarah enters.
Mrs. Dover?
Yes.
They exchange a glare. Sarah looks at Rianne.
Whatever you can say to her, you can say to me.
Legally, I can only talk to one of you. It'll be up to whoever that is to share the information with the other.
Sharon and Rianne stare at each other. It's a standoff.
I just need to talk to someone in the family. Is there a dog or a fish that I can call?
Sharon and Rianne exchange yet another look. They each hold out a fist and Rochambeau. Sharon loses.
Best of 3.
How about I speak with whichever one of you will be his primary caretaker?
Damn it.
Sharon huffs out. Sarah closes the door behind her.
So how is he?
Sarah opens an image on her tablet and shows it to Rianne.
Well, all of his cognitive functions are normal. Above normal, actually. But you see these tiny dots on the MRI? Those are focal lesions that indicate microscopic bleeding on his brain. He also has a minor midline shift.
What is that?
The trauma caused his brain to move slightly to one side of his skull, putting a slight amount of pressure on it right here. But in time, it should return to normal, and all those lesions should heal as well. We'll just have to keep an eye on everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Also, while Andy's not going to need a lot of physical rehab, I would recommend he start seeing a therapist as well.
What is he crazy?
He's an interesting case. Often a head trauma patient will lose some of their memories. Andy seems to have created some memories.
Created memories.
He has memories of things that haven't happened yet.
So, okay. Are you saying he's a time traveler?
Memories may not be the best word here, but it's as if he remembers things that are going to happen to him as if they've already happened, but at an age that's older than he is now.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me that he can see into the future? Should we buy lottery tickets or something?
I'm not explaining this well. While Andy remembers everything that has happened to him in his life, he also has memories of an alternate life that he hasn't actually lived.
Mm. And what does he say happened in this alternate life?
Off Sarah's look, we cut to interior hospital hallway, continuous. Sharon presses her ear to the door, trying to hear what's happening. A nearby nurse eyeing her, and she backs away. When the nurse goes back to her business, Sharon gets down on the floor and tries to listen from under the door. Andy approaches with Paige, startling her.
Mom?
Oh, Jesus, you gave me a heart attack.
Well, good thing we're at the hospital. What are you doing?
Your wife is talking to your other wife. How awkward is that?
No more than this.
He extends a hand to help her up. She takes it. Paige assists.
Listen, speaking of talking, you and I should.
Off Andy's look, we cut to interior Andy's recovery room. Moments later, Andy bursts in on Rianne and Sarah. Sharon follows.
What did you say to her?
Who?
You.
To who?
My mom. How did you trick her into thinking getting back together with you was a good idea?
Didn't trick me.
No, she manipulated you because that's what she does. You've said so yourself. That's even why you gave her that nickname.
What nickname?
Manipulative bitch.
Hey!
Don't get mad at me. She came up with it.
Mr. Dover, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down.
Calm down? Do you not get what just happened here?
Sarah presses the nurse's call button.
Honey.
Don't honey me.
Sweetie.
Don't sweetie me either.
Mr. Dover.
It's Andy.
Andy, please calm down.
You know I don't want to get back together with her.
But I think this is for the best.
No, she thinks it's for the best, and she got you to think so too.
Andy, do you really believe you're supposed to be with Dr. Blonde here?
I beg your pardon?
What?
Mrs. Dover, I can explain. It's...
Don't Mrs. Dover me. Are you screwing my husband?
I don't even know your husband.
Oh, it sure seems like you do. What other pictures of him do you have on that thing?
Rianne, there's nothing going on between them.
Then why did you say that?
Because Andy's little life flash made him think he's supposed to be with her instead of you.
Oh, okay. So you conveniently left out that little tidbit, didn't you? Any other memories you need to tell me about? Do you have kids together or something?
Just one.
Lucas is not your son.
He was supposed to be.
Oh my God.
Paige enters, and Sarah motions for her to assist Andy back into his bed and reattach his monitors.
Mr. Dover, you really need to rest. Mrs. Dover, this is exactly what I was talking about. These invented memories are likely brought on by his head trauma.
They are not invented memories.
Come on, Andy. You're not supposed to be with her. Okay? You're not supposed to have a son with her, and you're definitely not supposed to be a rock star.
Yes, I am. It's all I wanted ever since I was little.
Well, I was supposed to be a princess, and then I turned 7. Not everyone gets to be what they want to be when they grow up, Andy. What did you want to be when you grew up?
A nurse.
Okay, you're no help.
Look, this is my life. Don't I get any say in any of this?
Are you really in any condition right now?
Look, I'm fine. She'll tell you. I know what happened, and I know what I saw, and I know what I'm supposed to...
So Andy suddenly grips his head and wails in pain. His recently reattached monitors beep loudly and urgently. Paige springs into action as Sarah escorts Rianne and Sharon out while 2 more nurses come rushing in. Sarah returns and closes the door, leaving Rianne and Sharon in the hall. In the room, Andy is seizing, and the staff are doing everything they can to keep him under control. Close on Andy, flash of light. We're back in Andy's other life. We see many of the same images as before, but now they're blurrier, and we pull back from them as the images get faster and brighter until there's nothing but white light, then black. After a moment of silence, we hear,
Welcome home.
Fade in, interior, Rianne and Andy's house, day. The front door opens, and Rianne leads Andy in. His head is no longer bandaged, but he looks tired and pale. He looks around with sunken eyes. He clearly doesn't want to be there, and he does a slow scan of the front room. Andy's point of view. The place has been meticulously maintained, almost as if it's a model home or staged for one of those home makeover shows or a catalog. It's corporate cozy, where everything is homey and actually mass-produced. Yes, there's even a live, laugh, love sign. As he scans, he sees ghosts of his past. Multiple transparent images of Andy and Rianne appear to him, highlighting their time in the house. He sees them coming in the front door for the first time, each clinking their house key together like a toast and giving each other a quick kiss. Their idyllic picture falls apart quickly as he sees them either arguing or ignoring each other in multiple places at different times, but all at once. Andy sees himself sleeping on the couch, and it looks like that's been his bedroom for a while. He ends on their wedding portrait, mounted on the wall, but as he comes back to reality, the portrait is gone. Everything else is exactly the same. All the while, Rianne speaks, bringing in Andy's bags.
I wanted it to look as good as it did the day we bought it, so I cleaned it top to bottom before I brought you home.
You cleaned it.
Well, no, I had it cleaned. You know what I mean. Remember what we called it?
A new chapter.
And that's what this is. For both of us. Don't you think?
Andy stares at the space where their picture used to be.
It's almost how I remember it.
At least you remember it. Maybe we can make some new memories. Real memories. And forget about the other ones.
She gets very close and says seductively in his ear,
Want to go make some new memories?
I probably shouldn't exert myself.
You don't have to exert yourself. You can just lie there.
Rianne heads for the bedroom, giving him a come-hither look. When she's out of earshot,
That'd be a nice switch.
he follows after her. Interior Sharon's house, later that night. Andy enters using his key. He waves back to the street, and we see his Uber drive away. He closes the door quietly, sets down an overnight bag, takes off his jacket, and hangs it up by the door. When he turns back to pick up his bag, he shouts, startled at seeing Sharon, naked and wielding a bat. She screams as well. Andy covers his eyes.
Andy!
What the hell are you doing?
I thought you were a burglar.
Well, then you don't need the bat. Walking in without a robe would scare anyone off.
Sharon puts down the bat and wraps a blanket from the couch around herself.
What are you doing here?
I told Rihanna I was going to sleep on the couch. I just didn't tell her whose couch.
Did you two have a fight?
We had sex.
And you came over to tell me about it?
It was horrible. I had to get out of there.
That's some bad sex if you have to see your mother after.
Not the sex. Well, kind of the sex. I mean, just being with her the whole time. All I could see was Sarah.
It's normal to fantasize about other women during sex. I do it all the time.
Oh, I so don't want to unpack any of that.
But Andy, that's all it is. A fantasy. Sarah being a rock star. None of it is real.
You don't believe me, do you?
I believe you saw what you saw.
But you don't believe it's true.
Because it didn't happen. And it's not going to happen.
I see. So you believe me, you just don't believe in me.
Of course I believe in you. I just don't see how you're going to do it.
But you don't have to see it. You just have to believe that I do. Didn't you always tell me I could do anything I set my mind to?
Andy, that's just something people say. Nobody really does it.
Some people do it. I could be some people.
But can't you be some people who want to be a teacher or a, restaurant manager? Something you can actually do. Because Andy, a rock star? You don't even play an instrument. Besides, you're 50 years old. Who ever heard of a 50-year-old rock star?
Sting, Bono, Bon Jovi.
Okay.
Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Steven Tyler, Gwen Stefani.
Okay. But you know what the difference is between them and you? They're already rock stars. It's not like you go on LinkedIn and look for rock star jobs. You have to have connections.
What if I do?
Sharon sighs, not sure what to say. Andy's cell phone rings. He pulls it out to see it's Rianne.
Answer it.
He taps the speaker icon.
Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Where did you go?
I'm at my mom's.
Did she come and take you?
What? No, she wouldn't do that.
Sharon nods. Yes, she would.
I just wanted to talk to her.
You have a phone. I'm coming to get you.
Rianne hangs up.
What are the chances she'll get hit this time?
Sharon sees her son's reluctance.
Andy, I love you. If you really think this is what you're supposed to do, I'll support you.
Really?
Really. But you have to go back to Rianne.
Why?
You think she's not going to keep coming over here as long as you're still married?
Interior Pharaoh's Day. Only a few customers for this late lunch crowd. Andy opens the door as Chloe passes by, giving an automatic greeting before recognizing him.
Oh my God, Andy!
She throws her arms around him.
Are you back?
Just meeting someone.
We heard you almost died.
Almost.
Oh my God. I almost died once. I nearly drowned in my parents' pool. Saw my whole life flash before my eyes. But it didn't take very long because I was only 9. I did see my grandpa, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was warm. And I don't know. Weird. He died when I was 7. I missed him so much. It felt like he was hugging me, but he wasn't. I actually wanted to stay, but he said it wasn't my time, and I had to go back. And I saw my dad.
Oh, when did your dad die?
He's still alive. He was the one who pulled me out of the pool, and then he yelled at me for being in the deep end. So what did you see?
I'll tell you about it sometime.
Is that a date?
Evan comes through the front door.
Andy!
Thank God.
Chloe is back to her semi-professional self and shows Andy and Evan to a table. Interior Pharaohs later. Andy and Evan pick at the remnants of a chocolate pyramid.
So you don't think that sounds delusional?
What sounds delusional is knowing that you're supposed to be doing with your life and thinking you'll be happy not doing it.
You're not doing it anymore.
Sure, I am. Just looks different. I may not be playing arenas or anything anymore, but I'm still playing, and I'm much happier.
Having the money helps.
It helps, but if you're not happy when you don't have the money, you're not going to be happy when you do.
So I should do what makes me happy.
No.
No?
No.
But you just said...
I said you need to be happy. And that doesn't mean you never feel sad or depressed. It just means knowing you're doing, or at least trying to do, what lights you up. And don't ever turn off that light. Don't ever let anything turn it off for you. One day you might decide you need to change the bulb, but still your light.
Okay, so what do I do? I mean, obviously I know what I want. I just don't know how to get there. And I don't want to do anything that's going to keep me from getting there.
That's why you are where you are. You're so afraid to make the wrong choice. You don't make any. And that is absolutely the wrong choice.
Okay, but how do I know which choice is the right one?
You don't, because there's no one right choice. Each choice you make has an effect that affects something else that affects something else.
The buttermilk effect.
What?
The buttermilk effect. You know, if you drop something in the buttermilk and it makes ripples or something.
But butterfly.
Why would you drop a butterfly in the buttermilk?
Butterfly effect. A butterfly could flap its wings in Peking, and in Central Park you get rain instead of sunshine.
Isn't that Jurassic Park?
No, Central Park.
No, that line. It's from Jurassic Park.
I don't know. The point is, you don't have to make a choice.
Andy nods.
You just have to make a choice.
Andy nods, thinking he understands. He sees Chloe and flags her down.
Hey, Chloe, would you get Ken for me, please?
God, what did I do?
You're fine. I just want to talk to Ken.
Chloe heads off, still nervous she did something wrong.
It's like taking a road trip.
What is?
What we're talking about. You know where you want to go, but there could be 100 different ways to get there. Instead of worrying about taking the wrong road and not going, you just go. Even then, you don't just get in the car and let go of the wheel. You're constantly making adjustments to get where you're going. Some are big, some are little. You never know which one is going to get you there safely, which one is going to make you crash. Sorry, it's probably a bad analogy.
Ken walks up with Chloe cowering behind him.
Andy! Why didn't you tell me you were coming in?
Surprise!
So good to see you. So glad you're okay. Did you get the flowers we sent?
And the card with the $20 of Cairo Cash coupons inside.
Well, corporate thought you were worth it. So when are you coming back?
I'm not.
What?
I'm quitting.
Ken and Evan look at him, stunned. Then Ken laughs.
Oh my God, you got me. You're kidding. We do this to each other all the time.
No, not kidding. Quitting.
What are you doing?
Making a choice.
Oh, so not the right choice.
Interior, ER, night. The automatic doors slide open and Andy strides in with purpose, marching to the front of the line of people waiting to see the triage nurse, one of whom coughs profusely. Andy cuts in front of a patient wearing a blood-soaked bandage.
Excuse me.
Hey.
2 seconds.
I was here first.
Just a quick question.
Sir, you can ask when it's your turn. Back of the line, please.
I could have asked it by now.
Back of the line.
He turns to face the bandaged patient and pleads.
Fine.
Thank you.
And he turns back to the triage nurse.
Pay my copay.
What?
I'll let you cut in line in front of me if you pay my copay.
How much is your copay?
$100.
Andy looks at him in disbelief. The bandaged patient smiles smugly.
Can I Venmo you?
What's going on?
Just 2 seconds.
He's going ahead of me.
He can't do that.
He's paying my copay.
Oh, yeah? Pay mine too.
What?
Sir, you're going to have to go back to the back of the line, or I'm going to have you escorted out.
He waves over a security guard.
I just need to know if Dr. Sarah Blake is working tonight.
Not that information.
Please, it's an emergency.
Oh, and I thought this was the predicament room.
The nurse gestures for the security guard to escort Andy out. The guard moves on Andy, who backs away.
If he hurts me, I'm just going to end up right back here.
Yeah, at the back of the line.
The security guard advances, and Andy ducks behind the coughing patient.
I'll have this guy cough on you.
The security guard hesitates, then moves in again. Andy dodges him, ending up near the door to the treatment center. Paige comes out to call a patient back and sees him.
Andy, what are you doing here?
Hey, is Dr. Blake on tonight?
She was. You just missed her. You okay?
Like, just mister?
By like 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Andy rushes to the door. He calls back to the triage nurse.
See how easy that was?
He ducks the coughing patient as he goes.
My copay!
Exterior, ER, continuous. Andy emerges into the night and scours the parking lot, hoping to see a sign of Sarah somewhere. He does. She's standing near the ambulance entrance, a few dozen yards away.
Sarah!
Sarah looks up from her phone to see Andy hustling over.
Sarah, hey.
Mr. Dover.
Andy, please. Listen, I know you think I'm nuts, but please, just let me take you for a coffee.
Mr. Dover. Andy, this isn't a good idea.
Look, I know. Sorry, you're tired and probably just want to get home.
Yeah, and my ride is almost here.
Let me drive you home.
What?
I won't even drive. I'll let you drive. That way you won't think I'm trying to kidnap you.
I wasn't thinking that.
Good.
I am now.
Come on. Cancel your Uber and let me take you home, please.
I'm not waiting for an Uber.
Lyft, whatever.
Boyfriend.
What?
I'm waiting for my boyfriend.
Andy deflates.
Like, serious?
Aren't you married?
We're getting divorced.
I don't think you are.
The moment gets awkward. Fortunately for Sarah, her ride pulls up. Sarah's boyfriend, Matt, gets out of the car. Andy wants to get a good look at the guy.
Hey, babe.
Andy's stomach drops when he recognizes Matt is the irate customer's uncomfortable friend from Pharaoh's on the night of his accident. Matt gives Sarah a quick kiss and helps her put her things in the back seat. Andy feels another stab in his gut. Sarah awkwardly shoots a look over to Andy. Matt notices and looks himself. He's about to give Andy a cursory bro high when he recognizes him.
Hey. You're...
Andy.
Yeah, from Pharaoh's.
Andy nods, embarrassed.
What are you doing here?
Oh, Andy was in that car accident I told you about, the T-bone?
She points to her head, indicating his trauma. Maybe that he might be a little crazy.
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm so sorry. You look great, though. You doing okay?
Thanks to her.
She's the best, isn't she?
Of course, Andy agrees, but he can't bring himself to say anything. Matt returns to the driver's side of his car. Sarah nods to Matt that she'll be just a moment. Matt gets in the car and Sarah goes back to Andy.
Andy.
Suddenly, she looks vulnerable for the first time. And she's not sure what to say without crossing any lines, so she settles for...
In another life.
Overscore begins. She smiles warmly at him. Professional pretense gone. Just one person to another, who may actually see things the way he does. But before either of them can say anything else, she gets in the car, and Andy watches her drive off.
But this is my other life.
Interior, Andy's car, later. As indicated by its different appearance and the fact that there are rental papers on the passenger seat, it's clear this is Andy's temporary replacement. He drives along the boulevard, looking lost in thought. His phone lights up with an incoming call from Rianne. He debates for a second, then sends it to voicemail. Driving a little further, he stops at a red light. As he waits, he looks around and notices a music store on the corner. His eyes narrow and he makes a choice. Exterior, boulevard, continuous. Andy's car backs up from the intersection and finds a spot along the curb. Andy gets out, locks his car, and walks up to the front door of the guitar shop. He stops short of going in, but finally does. We begin to pull back. Through the window, we see him approach a salesperson and starts talking to him. After a few moments, Andy gestures to a guitar. The salesperson takes it off the wall and hands it to Andy. At this point, we're wide enough now to see the traffic light at the intersection. It turns green. Cut to black. End of episode.
And we ended with a blank screen. Nobody was on. I have absolutely no idea I didn't know how to start this. I have no idea how to wrap this up. So I will just say, let's bring the whole cast back on, please. Can we do a curtain call with everybody? Thank you all so much for reading this, getting it on its feet, letting me hear it. It's one of those things where, you ask people to do something like this and you feel like you're putting them out. So thank you all for doing this. I appreciate it. Thank everybody who's watching. I don't even have the thing open. We're in we got 37 people watching this right now. So for all of you who stuck around,
was like 50. There was like almost 60 at a couple different points, but everybody is clapping and there's hearts and everybody's saying how incredible it is and they want to read more of your writing, and everybody is agag at your awesome piece of work that we got to read tonight.
Well, thank you all so much for watching, for listening, for reading, for doing it.
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you for creating. Give it up for Dylan White.
Yes, absolutely.
When we started talking about this birthday week and what kind of shows we could fill it up with, at first Dylan had a different idea. He was going to do like a stand-up feature thing and invite other stand-up artists to come, or stand-up comedians to come and do some stand-up. And then a few weeks later, he messaged me again. He said, I have a different idea. I've been wanting to write this script. I've been wanting to write this script. And I think this is the reason this is going to make it happen. It'll give me a deadline. Can I do a script reading? And I was like, yes, exactly. Absolutely. And if anybody listens to the Your Creative Journey podcast, this is such a huge thing that we talk about, is getting to at least that first draft is always like the hardest thing to get to. And it opens up a whole new world once you get to the end of it, because then you can start working on it and tweaking and improving. But until you have a first draft, you're stuck. There's nothing. You have nothing. And I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you, Dylan, for finishing it. You had a deadline and you can't rush creativity, but this was something you said you've been thinking about doing for a long time, and you took this opportunity to set a goal for yourself, and you did it. You made it, and it's incredible.
I love it.
Amazing job.
Yeah, I was I want this. You know what I mean? Because we Grey's Anatomy is great and everything, but we don't I don't know if anybody else is getting it. Like we were kind of talking earlier that we kind of has those vibes, and like I want this to be made like that has the heart and the backstory, and we get to learn about their lives, and I loved it.
Thank you.
Dylan, you should know better than anyone, or as well as anyone, what a gift it is for a comedic actor or any actor to get really good material. And like these jokes, I mean, I was, that line, this isn't a predicament room. I mean, there's so many brilliant lines in here, and there's so many bits. Like even when you were like, my mother would never do that, and it's like, yeah, I would. I mean, it's such a gift for an actor to get to deliver well written lines, and you can
Intelligent material, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so great.
Thank
Dylan.
you.
And
Thank you.
Paul and Craig and Sam as always showing up. And
Yeah, for creating this a year ago and giving us this format to be able to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Absolutely.
Hey, I got to be the smart one and a rock star at the same time.
You know, I wish that
Come on.
I wish you'd given Darren more to do, though. That would have been nice. More
Darren.
opportunities for him.
I
I'm
really
just
like
I'm
how-
really disappointed that he wasn't off book. That's
No, what a slacker.
Yeah.
I would love to get Darren and Frank in a room, and they're like, in a world, one evening,
Oh,
we're all in car.
yeah, dueling narrators.
Doing
Right?
narrating.
That'd be good, right?
That'd be a whole lot of
I'd watch
smooth
that.
jazz voice.
Frank is dude.
I just I really
Darren
like
is naked.
that every character in this, whatever the size of the character was, it didn't matter. They all had this depth to them. Like even the bandaged patient, was had a few lines, but like
Real.
everybody was real. It wasn't like, oh, this is just a little character here or this there. Everything felt real, and I was like, I want to know more about that character.
and you breathe life into it. I mean, they can be words on a page and an image in my head, but until you guys do something with it, they're not as real. So thank you.
I'm already ready for the next episode.
I know, me too.
Yeah, what happens? The light's green. Like, does he
Yeah.
start? Tell us what happens. Does he
What-
start taking guitar lessons again? Like, or
No
does he start
spoilers.
dating? What?
You can tell us.
What,
off air, though.
spoilies?
Yeah.
Actually, let's do this because I know where I want this to go. What are people's predictions?
So in the chat, you guys go ahead and chime in. What are your predictions? If you feel like
Yes.
there's a journey there,
Mhm.
are Sarah and Andy gonna get married and have a great life? I want to say, I'm curious to see, and then I guess we should say ours while we're waiting for them to come in the chat.
Yeah, I want to hear you guys because
I'm-
you've read it and have like dove deep into it a little
Well,
bit too.
I
so.
think that Chloe is definitely gonna try and run some interference in there.
Chloe.
Yeah, she's gonna, she might try to, get in there for a little bit.
You're not
I'm
wrong.
just wondering if Paige and the triage nurse are gonna hook up.
Ooh.
Where's that storyline?
I think
I
Paige
see,
and Ken are gonna hit it off.
I was gonna
mean,
say
think
Sharon and
Paige
Ken,
Ken are gonna
but
have a thing. He has that little lisp thing going on that she might like. I mean, like that could be a thing.
Sharon's the one who thinks about women during sex, so I think Sharon and Paige are the
You
No, because
know, I
you
need to know that
only think
entire
about women during
storyline.
sex. So
I need to know everything about Sharon's life. Like you have to, like
know.
Dylan, whatever you do, you have to develop. We need to know the why. Like
Yes.
we need to know why Sharon thinks about women during sex, and we need to like explore her
Who is she
relationship.
having sex with? What's
Maybe
sex?
she asked Paige out. Like I don't know. Like maybe she asked
Who-
Sarah out. And Sarah's like, you know what? Screw Max.
Who is Sharon having sex with?
Me, Sarah?
I think you're going to end up together, Dylan. But my question is, how are you going to reconcile the fact that Lucas already exists in this universe? That's the one that's getting me. So I think you're going to have to do some very tricky multiple universe stuff to make it
Yes.
tie together.
And I think Sharon's story is the spin-off, like Mama's Family.
Yes. Yes.
I think in episode 2, he's playing the guitar, and that's when he finds the Infinity Stone.
Mm.
oh yeah,
And David Benjamin says the narrator ends up with Sarah.
Yeah.
Dig that.
Jeremy has a horrible suggestion. He said he thinks Andy and Sarah end up separate, like at the end of La La Land, which was terrible.
Thanks for ruining
thank you. Oh my
Mama
God,
Jeremy.
thank you.
Don't get Dylan and I
Thank
started
you.
on La La Land.
Oy vey.
Seriously, in a tribute to Jamie, I think you should change Rianne's name to Karen just when Jamie does it.
He's- Yeah, I chatted. I mean, is it okay if I say Dylan? Like, I chatted with Dylan a little bit before, and we were talking. Because I had some questions about Sarah, and we were talking about how like she sees a kindred spirit in him. You know what I mean? And that like their brains work the same way, and nothing is, for me at least, nothing is more attractive. I don't care who you are, than when like you have that brain connection more than anything. You know what I mean? And that, so I don't know, like that's a lasting thing, you know. So I don't know.
Wow,
What do you think?
a neurologist looking for a brain connection. What do you know?
What do you know?
Well, what the hell happens to Matt then?
Yeah, well, we already don't
That
like him.
moves you about
We already don't like
my
him.
God.
You don't
Nobody
like Matt.
likes Brienne either. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. Oh, maybe they can
Matt
end up.
Maybe
Yeah.
yeah.
Brienne and Matt.
It's like the end of Enchanted when the ditched fiance. I don't want to ruin another.
Oh
movie.
yeah, that's right. I totally forgot.
Nancy, poor Nancy.
Yep.
Nancy.
Lots of people think Sharon needs a spinoff.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
A
mean,
lot of Sharon-centric episodes.
I just
So-
want to know when she said I fantasize about women during sex. I'm like, what sex? Who's in her life? How is she?
She's
Who's
got a story.
who's
She
her
has a
side?
story somewhere.
you never know.
Yeah, Dylan, just write 2 series at one time. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Super
Right.
easy.
Yeah.
But I like the way that you left everything kind of open to keep going.
Yeah.
That was really, really well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
And I
the
mean,
story
it's-
stood on its own, but you still
Yeah.
kind of you got the way to keep going.
Yeah,
And there's
you
something
could
really
definitely.
romantic. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, because you could definitely do this as, say, like a short film, like because
Mm-hmm.
it's contained. It would be really nice. It'd be, you know, you end it there in another life. Maybe you kind of, you know, leave it that little hang off of if only. But
A feature though.
The hour and a half pilot to the series.
yeah, you could do
I
that
think
too.
I think Matt actually, when he gets dumped, finds Andy, and Andy becomes his Sherpa, his spiritual advisor.
It's getting deep.
They go on a journey together. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, I
Another
was
spinoff.
when Amanda was saying that, Dylan, I was going to wait till after, but since it's brought up, I was wondering if this is a feature rather than a series, or if it's a limited series, like, you know, on like a lot of streaming services, it's a limited.
Oh yeah.
So
me too.
when I originally had the idea, I did have the idea of just making it a feature, and
Right.
all these like questions and everything would resolve. So I kind of like do know the trajectory of the story and everything already. But there was, you know, kind of like more I wanted to explore with the characters and what's going on, and a feature wasn't going to do it. And now we've gotten to a point, because like I said, I had this idea like 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. But now we're at a point where, you know, limited series and streaming series are like
That's
the
where it's at.
mode of.
Yeah.
So
That's-
that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm kind of like an 8 or 9 episode
That's
limited series.
exactly.
kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
that's
And they're
that's
always
all
so
we're
good.
seeing right
They're
now.
always
I mean,
very,
look
very
at
good,
Queen's
but I
Gambit.
always want more.
Yeah.
That's perfect, Dylan, because
And-
A fun suggestion in the chat. She said maybe Sarah has an accident and then also remembers. That's interesting.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
Oh,
Also-
Emily deleted her message, but I'm going to say what it was before.
What?
You're caught,
She said
Emily.
she said I actually end up paying the copays for the bandaged patient and the coughing guy.
I love the imagery of the green light. I was going to say
Yes.
there's something really lovely and like Gatsby-esque with the green light thing, you know, that I think is romantic and nice. You know what I mean? Like Paul's not
I'm
killing
just laughing at Paul.
I
So.
know.
Long show.
That was
Paul's
I
just
love-
hoping that I won't separate myself, and I'll Venmo him $100.
Maybe Sarah has green eyes, like whoever you know what I mean? Like it's where it's like that I like that imagery kind of weaving its way throughout the story, and it's romantic, and it like triggers that like the missed love thing with Gatsby, like it kind, you know what I mean? Like it's nice. It's a nice tie-in.
have people seen the movie Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell and Emma Thompson?
I absolutely love that movie. It's one of my
It's
favorite movies of all time, and that was actually a vibe that I was kind of going for here.
I totally got
I'm
that.
getting it. I'm getting
Thank
it.
you.
That was a good mention, Denny.
Yeah, that's what this feels like to me.
That was a
I
good mention.
love that you got that. And
There's
if you
also-
haven't seen Stranger Than Fiction, don't let the fact that it's a Will Ferrell movie throw you off. It is the most non-Will Ferrell movie, Will Ferrell movie.
He's amazing. He did a short film called David. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but it was directed by Zach Woods, who is the director of the short film Everly did. And he played a psychologist, and it was not a comedy. And I was blown away. I had never seen Will Ferrell act in a dramatic capacity. Like, he's a straight up actor. He who also just
Yeah.
happens
Watch
to be
it. It's called
hysterical.
David.
David. It's called David.
Is it available on Netflix or how do you see it?
You can watch it online. I think if you Google it, it won at Cannes, and it's pretty amazing. And his new short film called Bud, Everly stars in it, and that's being submitted to Sundance and all over the place. So he's got a great track record, and his little film with Will Ferrell was so touching and just really great. It's 10 minutes long.
It's so nice when like comedic actors, right? Because we box people up and we're used to being comfortable with like the thing they do, you know what I mean? But when they get to like flex their like actual, like, you know, like not that comedy acting is acting, but you know what I mean? They're dramatic acting chops.
Right.
It's nice to like see that other side and be like, you know, I'm excited to watch that.
Did you guys see Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Mm-mm. That's
Melissa McCarthy.
That's Melissa McCarthy, and I heard
It's
she
so
won.
good.
Didn't she win everything?
No, she got nominated for an Oscar though.
Yeah, I need to watch that as well.
I'm sad that
Paul, you have your finger up. So Paul, 99, walk into a bar.
I'm just trying to figure out how to say something. So Stranger Than Fiction, I got that vibe, but I also got Memento. I got a lot of that Christopher.
Yeah.
Just a little less dark.
Flashbacks.
Yeah.
The feeling of it.
I'm like waiting for someone in the chat, so I'm not the only person who's seen this movie.
I saw the beginning of it when she went to a dinner party and then she took someone else's coat.
Okay, I feel.
Does that make you feel better?
And yeah,
Very well acted. I believe that was the wrong coat. I didn't doubt it for a second.
I don't know why I'm taking this so personally. I think I wasn't the movie.
You're not forgiving us. It's ironic.
I'm really not.
Yeah, I was saying, are you like an investor in this movie?
No, I'm not. I'm just an investor in Melissa McCarthy. I have a personal investment.
Yes, Darren, world's worst.
Wipe left. I have a weird actor comment about the writing. I do a lot of readings. And I know you couldn't tell because I suck so bad, but I do a lot of readings. And usually one of the things that I notice the first thing is how easy it is for me to not stumble on the words. To me, that's a big testament to the writing, especially in something like this where I do narrate a lot. I'm actually narrating a show next week as well. And it's really hard because you have to basically do as you're reading and not look ahead because you'll stumble. Your writing allowed me not to stumble.
Awesome,
Which,
thank you.
As a reader and as an actor, that's a huge thing.
It's like it's really difficult to learn a song when it's a bad song. Like when it's not a good song, it's hard to memorize it because it's like, oh my gosh, the song. But like same thing with writing. Like,
yep,
totally right.
It feels like, some people they write and they never speak. If that makes sense, like they just write what's in their head and then it goes on the paper. But this felt like you must. I don't know if you really did, but it felt like you must have said these things out loud.
A lot of times I do, yeah.
Yeah, and that's because that's.
I'll read the scenes. I'll read the scenes out loud to myself to see how they flow. I read the stage directions out loud to myself sometimes, just see how that flows and make sure it's like clear. But I'm trying to use an economy of words, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will also say that as good as the dialogue was, I personally love when a show or a movie has like long segments of just cinematic content.
Yeah.
Which is what the beginning really was essentially. Because sometimes it's like in life, you go through your day and you might not even talk to anybody until noon or something. You get up and you get in your car and you make your coffee and you go to work and you're doing your thing. And it's nice to like watch the characters doing instead of saying. I've always enjoyed that. I thought it was
How many times have you looked at a script like this, and especially with this much narration and visual content in it, and you can so easily zone out? And I found that I did not, like, even just, with listening to the narration and everything, I was just completely drawn in through everything.
Especially with page 37.
Oh no.
That was a page that changed all of our lives, I think.
Changed everybody. Yeah. That
And
was
then-
good.
We'll never be the same.
I was so tempted.
Riley
I was
came
so
in.
tempted. to
Riley-
just go,
Came in and she went.
I thought you were going to get there and just go, page 37, interior.
No, I want to know what Riley did stuff. I want to know what
She
happened.
came in and I told Caitlin, I texted Caitlin about it. Riley came in and she woke up, obviously, she stuck her hand under the backdrop and was like doing like the hand puppet, trying to do hand puppet. And I was like, it scared me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm scream laughing. Like, what are you doing? And then the backdrop almost started, because it's a piece of crap that I got on Amazon, almost fell over. And I was like, oh my gosh, Riley. And I literally like,
I was like, what am I hearing?
Yeah, your mic was on
I'm
at that
texting
point.
Stephanie
I'm
like, Steph,
Caitlin's like,
mute
Stephanie,
yourself.
mute. And I was like, did everyone just hear me yell at my child? And then like she almost died because the backdrop almost crushed her. And then I made her go back to bed. Like,
You didn't sound mad though. You sounded concerned.
Well, she was laughing because she was like sock puppeting under the thing, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
We turned you off before it got good. Don't worry.
But thank God you're like a kind mom. Like, thank God you don't pull an Alec Baldwin and be like, "What the fuck are you?"
Can you imagine if I just lost my mind and you all heard it? Everybody just goes silent, like.
I am acting. This is my workshop.
No wire hangers. What did I tell you?
The first time I saw that movie, Caitlin, I was like bothered for 4 days after. I was like, we watched it at Playhouse Disney on a break, and I was like, what is wrong with you guys for putting this on? And all the puppeteers thought it was just so funny.
You know what? Everybody always goes to the wire hangers gig, but my favorite line in that is I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that. And I do love Don't F With Me, fellas. I do love.
Yeah. I do hate wire hangers, though. They are the worst.
No.
So check this out. So somebody mentioned at the very beginning of this after chat here that like they wish they could read more of Darren's stuff. Darren, where can people read more?
You
of
mean
the-
Dylan?
Dylan?
I mean, we look a lot alike.
So sorry.
I was like, Darren has stuff. I
do
like,
actually.
I like listening to
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
listening
wow.
to him read things.
I didn't know this was about that.
Paul
but
has,
sure.
he hit his head. He's going to start saying things now. Alternate lives.
My wife. So Dylan, people were saying at the beginning of this that people wish they could read more of Dylan's stuff. Dylan, where can they find more of your stuff?
They can find, if they go to my website, dylanwhite.com, they can find links to things. However, if they want to go straight to the source, search up Dylan White Apparition on Amazon. You will find my Apparition trilogy. It's a trilogy of young adult paranormal romance novels. Don't let that fool you. They appeal to a broad range of readers. Look at you guys putting up my link in the YouTube chat.
Craig
is really fast at
killing it.
Yeah,
it is and I know some people have read them, but it's about, I'll just say it's about a ghost who falls in love with the girl who's living in the house he's haunting. And look, Sam even threw up the cover.
Oh
Look at
my
that.
god.
Oh.
So currently available in ebook format or paperback format. I am currently recording the audiobooks myself now. So
Wow.
those are all
That's
available.
so cool.
So there's one of those books, or there's two of those?
There's 3 of those books. It's a trilogy.
Oh.
I can also say that Dylan has a line of shirts.
I love Dylan.
Believe in yourself.
And anecdotally, I'm actually quite wide. Nobody here's met me, but I'm a
I have
wide.
been
I'm like a
in the
square.
same room with you.
Yeah, you have. And Dylan's shirts are some of the most comfortable, movable, breathable shirts I've ever had in my life.
I've heard
So,
that. That's true.
Nicely done.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
I just
So-
picked a provider, but thank you.
I'm going to go
Well, you
check out
picked
my
well.
contacts, you guys.
Dylan, you want to go home, buddy?
Let's go. Let's wrap it up.
No, I just...
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us once again. One more round of applause for the amazing cast.
Oh,
And
for Dylan.
especially the incredible author, Mr. Dylan White. We'll see you back here in about a week and a half for draft 2.
Yeah!
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be
We're in.
reprising.
On Saturday, we'll work it into the picnic.
There we
Real
go.
quick. Write it.
Have a great night,
Right in.
everybody.
Sorry.
We'll see you.
Jamie, how do you say the picnic in real quick in one sentence? I don't.
No.
Oh, no, not that. I didn't say
The
it, Paul.
picnic?
I didn't do it.
Picnic.
Or square root.
We'll see you tomorrow night for another wonderful evening of entertainment on the Audacity Network. Thank you for helping us celebrate our 1-year anniversary. Until tomorrow, We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And we are clear.